Something explosive just dropped in the football world, and it's coming straight from a name nobody expected. Former Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb has stepped into the spotlight again, but this time, it's not to relive his NFL glory days. It's to call out an entire fan base. In a move that shocked both analysts and fans, McNabb took to social media to criticize everyone demanding to see Shedeur Sanders on the field right now. His words? Brutal. His tone? Dismissive. And the internet absolutely erupted. McNabb claims Browns fans are letting emotions run wild, that they're ignoring the process and praying for Dillon Gabriel's downfall just to see Sanders play. But here's the problem. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another rookie. He's a phenomenon, a cultural wave, a rising star who's managed to turn every city he steps into a headline. So when McNabb decided to aim his comments at fans crying for Shedeur, it wasn't just criticism. It was gasoline on an already raging fire. Within hours, clips of his comments started spreading like wildfire across X, TikTok, and YouTube. Fans called it hate. Others called it jealousy. And a few said maybe, just maybe, McNabb was telling a truth no one wanted to hear. But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about football anymore. It's about pride, legacy, and the generational shift shaking up the NFL. Because behind all the sound bites and viral outrage lies a much deeper question, one that's been haunting Cleveland for years. Is this really about protecting Shedeur's development, or is it about the system that keeps holding players like him back? McNabb might have thought he was making a simple point about patience. Instead, he may have exposed something bigger, a growing disconnect between NFL veterans, modern players, and a fan base desperate for change. And as you'll see, that comment wasn't the end of it. It was the start of a storm. Before we dive deeper into his comments, it's worth remembering who Donovan McNabb actually is. A six-time Pro Bowl quarterback, McNabb led the Philadelphia Eagles through some of their most successful seasons in the early 2000s. He was known for his leadership, accuracy, and ability to make big plays when it mattered most. But over the years, McNabb's name has also become tied to controversy, not for his game, but for his outspoken opinions. He's never been afraid to speak his mind, even if it rubbed people the wrong way. From criticizing younger quarterbacks to questioning modern NFL trends, McNabb's takes often ignite debate. That's exactly what happened here. When he aimed his latest comments toward Shedeur Sanders' growing fan base, it wasn't just another opinion. It came from a veteran who's seen how brutal this league can be. And yet, this time, his message didn't land the way he probably expected. When Donovan McNabb spoke, he didn't hold back. On a recent segment, he accused the Cleveland Browns fan base of listening to the crowd and letting emotion drive their obsession with seeing Shedeur Sanders take the field. McNabb argued that fans were praying for Dillon Gabriel's downfall just to rush Shedeur's debut, calling it unfair, unrealistic, and a sign of short-term thinking. He said, "This isn't college football. If you have a bad year here, they'll draft someone else." The reaction was immediate and explosive. Clips of his comments flooded social media. Fans accused McNabb of being bitter and hating on the Sanders family. Others said he was just protecting a fellow quarterback in Gabriel. But the tone of his words struck a nerve. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it, as if the entire movement around Shedeur Sanders was just hype. And for millions who believe in Shedeur's future, that was a line you don't cross. What Donovan McNabb might not realize is that Shedeur Sanders isn't just a player, he's a movement. His name alone brings energy, excitement, and hope to every fan base he touches. Coming from the legendary Sanders family, Shedeur represents more than athletic talent. He's the bridge between old-school football grit and the new generation's social media power. Everywhere he goes, the cameras follow, the jerseys sell out, and young fans tune in just to see what he'll do next. That's what makes this story so big. It's not just Browns fans calling for him, it's the entire country. From college football lovers who watched his rise at Colorado to NFL fans desperate for fresh leadership, Shedeur's presence feels electric. So when McNabb dismissed that excitement as fan noise, it came across like he was downplaying the rise of an icon in real time. And that's why the internet erupted, because Shedeur Sanders isn't just Cleveland's hope anymore. He's becoming football's next obsession. Beneath all the backlash, Donovan McNabb's message wasn't entirely wrong. It was just delivered the wrong way. What he was really trying to say is that Shedeur Sanders needs time. In his eyes, this isn't college anymore. The NFL is a battlefield where rookies either adapt fast or get replaced even faster. McNabb believes sitting behind Dillon Gabriel could actually help Shedeur learn the speed, pressure, and complexity of the pro game before being thrown into chaos. And honestly, that's a fair point, but fans didn't hear it that way. To them, it sounded like another veteran telling a rising star to wait his turn, as if greatness should be delayed. In today's era of instant highlights and breakout rookies, patience isn't what fans want to hear. They want to see potential, not protect it. So while McNabb might have meant well, his words came across like a lecture, and that only fueled the fire burning around Shedeur's name. It didn't take long for fans to clap back, and when they did, they made sure Donovan McNabb heard every word. Within hours, his name was trending across X and YouTube, with thousands of comments calling him out for what many saw as pure hate. Some accused him of being jealous of the Sanders family's spotlight, while others said he was out of touch with how the modern game works. "You're mad because Shedeur already has the attention you never did," one fan wrote, echoing the mood across social media. Reaction videos flooded the internet. Former players, sports podcasters, and even college athletes chimed in, defending Shedeur and blasting McNabb for talking down to a young star. For many, this wasn't just about football anymore. It was about a generational shift, the old guard refusing to accept the new era of players who come with both skill and personality. And once that narrative took off, there was no putting it back in the box. McNabb's comments had officially turned into a storm, but this storm didn't just stop with Donovan McNabb. It quickly spilled over into the one place already drowning in controversy, Cleveland. Because while McNabb was calling out fans for wanting Shedeur Sanders on the field, Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski was facing heat for the exact same thing. Week after week, fans have begged him to give Shedeur a shot, but Stefanski continues to double down on Dillon Gabriel, a decision that's now splitting the entire fan base. And the frustration isn't new. Browns fans have watched quarterback after quarterback leave and find success elsewhere. Joe Flacco, Baker Mayfield, the list goes on. To them, Stefanski isn't protecting his players, he's wasting potential. So when McNabb defended the learning from the sidelines approach, it sounded like he was defending Stefanski too. And that made fans even angrier. Because in Cleveland, this isn't just about patience anymore, it's about trust. And right now, nobody seems to have much left. For Cleveland fans, this isn't just another quarterback debate. It's decades of frustration boiling over. The Browns haven't had a true long-term franchise quarterback since anyone can remember. Every few years, hope rises, only to crash under the weight of bad coaching, poor management, or pure bad luck. From Tim Couch to Johnny Manziel, and now to Dillon Gabriel, it's been one heartbreak after another. So when fans look at Shedeur Sanders, they don't just see a rookie, they see redemption. They see a chance to finally break the curse that's haunted this team for generations. That's why McNabb's comments stung so deeply. He wasn't just telling them to be patient, he was telling them to keep waiting for a miracle they've been promised their whole lives. And when you've endured that much pain, patience starts to sound like punishment. For Cleveland, Shedeur represents something bigger: hope, swagger, and a fresh start. And fans aren't willing to let anyone talk them out of it. At its core, Donovan McNabb's argument came from experience. But that's exactly where he might be out of touch. The NFL isn't the same league he played in 20 years ago. Back then, rookies were expected to wait, learn, and quietly earn their moment. But today, players like C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, and Patrick Mahomes have changed the narrative completely. Fans have seen what happens when young talent is trusted early, and they believe Shedeur Sanders could be next in that line. McNabb sees risk, fans see opportunity. He wants patience, they want progress. What he's missing is that Shedeur isn't your typical rookie. He's already been under the brightest lights in college football, carrying massive expectations while keeping his composure like a veteran. He's not reckless or unprepared. He's confident, polished, and aware of the pressure that comes with his last name. So, when McNabb implies Shedeur should sit and learn, it feels dismissive to a player who's already proven he can handle the spotlight. It's not arrogance, it's preparation. The league is evolving, and the next generation of players isn't asking for permission to lead. And that's the part McNabb, and maybe even Cleveland, still doesn't fully understand. So where does all this leave Shedeur Sanders? Right now, he's at the center of one of the most polarizing storylines in the NFL. On one side, you have Donovan McNabb and the old-school voices calling for patience. The belief that sitting behind Dillon Gabriel will toughen him up and prepare him for long-term success. But on the other side, you have millions of fans, analysts, and even former players saying the same thing. Shedeur is ready now. And honestly, both sides have a point. Sitting can sharpen perspective, but it can also waste pressure that comes with his last name. So when McNabb implies Shedeur should sit and learn, it feels dismissive to a player who's already proven he can handle the spotlight. It's not arrogance, it's preparation. The league is evolving, and the next generation of players isn't asking for permission to lead. And that's the part McNabb, and maybe even Cleveland, still doesn't fully understand. So where does all this leave Shedeur Sanders? Right now, he's at the center of one of the most polarizing storylines in the NFL. On one side, you have Donovan McNabb and the old-school voices calling for patience, the belief that sitting behind Dillon Gabriel will toughen him up and prepare him for long-term success. But on the other side, you have millions of fans, analysts, and even former players saying the same thing. Shedeur is ready now. And honestly, both sides have a point. Sitting can sharpen perspective, but it can also waste some time about the future of the game itself. The NFL is standing at a crossroads between tradition and transformation. On one side are the veterans who believe greatness takes time, patience, and years of quiet development. On the other side stands a new generation of athletes, confident, media-savvy, and ready to lead before the ink on their rookie contracts even dries. Shedeur Sanders represents that shift perfectly. He's not just another prospect. He's a brand, a movement, and a symbol of belief for millions of fans who've watched the Browns cycle through disappointment for decades. That's why this conversation feels so much bigger than football. It's not just whether Shedeur can play, it's whether the NFL is ready for what he represents. A player who's both talented and culturally powerful, both athlete and icon. And that's exactly why every word from McNabb hits so hard. Because when you tell a fan base starving for hope to wait, it feels like taking their last bit of faith away. Browns fans don't want patience. They want proof. They want a spark. They want to believe that for once, the future is already here. So as this story unfolds, the question becomes more than just when will Shedeur play? It's what happens when he does. Will he rise to the occasion and silence every critic? Or will the Browns' endless chaos swallow another potential star before he even gets started? Only time will tell. But one thing's certain, the entire football world will be watching that first snap. So what do you think? Was Donovan McNabb speaking truth or just hating on the new generation? Should Shedeur wait for his moment or demand his shot now? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you love NFL drama, insider stories, and the real talk no one else covers? Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because this story, it's far from over.